There we go.
I think we are syncing. What are you thinking about?
Not sinking like
Have you
sinking in
heard
a
that joke?
boat.
Have you
Mm-mm.
have you like are you familiar with the German accent? Speaking
Yeah,
English?
yeah,
Yeah, so
duh.
off. So have you heard the joke that it's like, this is the German Coast Guard. What are you
No,
thinking about? Anyways,
no. You'll have to tell me offline.
I
Anyway,
will. Welcome to the well, folks.
welcome. My name is Jomar. I
I'm
am a coach to high performers, to entrepreneurs, to leaders, business owners. We get clear on what it is that they want to do next, and we go get it. This is the well. Emily, you're up.
Hi, folks. My name is Emily Haruko. I'm coming to you from beautiful Victoria, BC, Canada. I consider myself a transformational leader, coaching in the realm of transformational and profound leadership. Jomar and I are peers and colleagues and friends, and we have teamed up to bring you the well every Wednesday at 1 Pacific time to provide some insight and some support during these crazy times. So today,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And today our topic is unsure, uncertain, and unrest. We're going to remove the un from all of those things
that's it.
by
Removing
the
the
end of
un.
today.
That should have been the topic. Removing the un.
Removing the un. We don't rehearse this, so we sort of just vamp on the topic. We kind of have some idea where we want to go, maybe some call to action, and then we go from there.
Yeah.
So let's see. Should I go first? Should I vamp on it first, Em? Or
Please
what do
vamp.
you think? Okay.
Please vamp for us, my dear.
Um, so what's real for me in the world of uncertainty is that what I'm seeing lately for myself and for clients that I work with is this there is always this orientation in our lives to move towards this place of certainty.
Mm-hmm.
And we fixate on this. Like we get obsessed with it to be certain about things. So we build up our bank accounts and we buy a house and we decorate it a certain way so that we have this certain feeling that we have if we sort of decor our lives externally, whatever it is, family, relationship, if I have this type of person with me, if I have these clothes that I wear. So we orient ourselves towards this sense of like certainty, and we manifest it externally in different ways. And I think what's happened this year is a lot of that is just slowly coming apart. The things that have us feeling certain about ourselves, our identity, our lives are up in the air. They're being questioned these days on a daily basis, both in a micro personal level and in a macro political level. And I just want to call out that that's sort of what's undergirding all of this. Is this year has felt like 10 years in a lot of ways, and it's felt so slow, and it's caused us to have this state of mind that we're not used to. We're sort of like we're evolving into this new way of how do we find a sense of grounding now that the things that we thought were for certain aren't. Like there's a different relationship to it. So I wanted to just present that lay of the land at the beginning. What do you think?
I love that. I really appreciate, I think that sometimes we really underestimate how powerful it is just to distinguish something. So just for you to be able to name that. Again, we go to this place of certainty, which I often interpret as control, right? We go to this place of then we once we've distinguished something, then we have to do something with it, right? We have to heal from it. We have to transcend it. We have to change it, which is all just another flavor of trying to control, trying to create certainty.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually just love that you left it there because really it is the essence of just distinguishing something. So my take on, uncertainty, unrest, being unsure, twofold is one, there's this desire to predict and manage, right? There's this distinction of predicting and managing, right? Controlling. These are flavors of control to create certainty, to create security, the things that we need to feel comfortable.
Yep.
And then the alternative to that is actually to declare and fulfill. So when we're talking about, a lot of us are operating in predict and manage, and the invitation is to move to declare and fulfill, right? And declaring and fulfilling from a place of like, we are the masters of our own domain. We do create the life experiences. We are responsible for not always all the circumstances. However, we are always all responsible for how we respond to those circumstances. Hello, Yolanda. And
Hi, that's my auntie.
hi, Auntie. Um, and so from that place, we can choose, right? We can choose versus control, right? There's a difference between choosing and controlling. And then I think at a deeper layer to that, there's actually a foundation of trust that we need. We need this trust in ourselves. We need a trust in a power greater than ourselves. And when we have a relationship, a powerful relationship with those two things in particular, and then, yes, a relationship with others, relationship with our circumstances, those are all also important relationships. But when we have a strong relationship with ourselves, when we have a strong relationship with something that's greater than us, and that we're in a relationship, right? It's a dialogue, it's a co-created thing. Then we get to cultivate this place of trust. And when we're in trust, we can then be more at ease in uncertainty.
Mm. Yeah, there's definitely the language I put there, Em, is like a reclaim of our original power.
Mm-hmm.
So much of what I see, again, I'll fall into this trap, but my clients as well, is we're trying to get somewhere because we think that's where our power comes from. We're trying to get somewhere because we think once we get there, that's where our freedom comes from. And what you're suggesting is sort of a turning it on its head and saying like, look, like we have this original power to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
We have this original wholeness to begin with. And if there is sort of a deep trust in that, if there's a sort of a deep belief in that, and we have this realization that we're made of, you call it something greater than ourselves. The Christian mystical tradition that I'm a part of would call that God. Other religions would call that something of the divine, whatever it is. But if we sort of realize this the thing that which makes us human also makes us very emboldened and divine and whole to begin with, coming from that place, whatever we've made up to be uncertain before now sort of starts to feel like home because we're already home to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. A reclaiming, a remembering, a coming home to.
Mm-hmm.
What shows up for me is like, for like the invitation for you, for me, for anyone watching this video is like to just notice where you're in resistance of what's so, right? Because really, life left alone takes care of itself, right? We muddle in it and try to predict and manage and control when really life left alone takes care of itself. And even when things are awry or crazy politically or whatever, notice how we have a resistance to that as though it shouldn't be, right? So really the part of the invitation to trust is like really to trust that if once people know better, they do better, right? So how are we in resistance, or like just noticing the resistance of that we think things should be different than they are, right? So in that there's this practice of acceptance that happens that I think is really powerful. And just allowing what's so to be there in this place of acceptance. What's coming up for me is yesterday I listened. I'm part of this program for October, and we listened to Mary Morrissey speak
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. And if you don't know who Mary Morrissey is, You should go YouTube or Google her. So unbelievably profound. And one of the biggest takeaways that I got from her talk yesterday was when we are faced with a problem, whether personal, political, societal, when we are placed with a problem, there is a part of us that is greater than that problem. And the problem presents itself in our lives so that we can access that greater part of ourself, so that we can create and transcend whatever that problem is. That problem only exists because there is another larger part available to us that can handle that problem. That's putting it in like pretty layman's terms, but I think, we can all feel that power within us. And when we cultivate a relationship with that, and then we're faced with adversity, we're faced with challenges, we're faced with uncertainty, it's an invitation to allow that greater part of ourselves to rise up and show us the way and provide the solution and create the path and, whatever it is that we need, to do. So
This election is so much highlighted in what you've just said. There is this sort of thing that it's presented to us, and we're telling a story about who we are.
Yeah.
And there's people, essentially, to my mind, people on both sides of the aisle are saying, depending on who wins, the person that wins is going to be sort of the story that wins of who we are. And I think the third way of seeing this is what we've been talking about, is coming back to this sense of like, no, we're this is a part of it. We're originally whole. What is sort of makes sense because we are competing for our own identity and who it's supposed to be, but we don't need to resist and ignore and bypass the hurt that we're feeling because of this. We just accept that it's a part of it, and then whatever comes of it, it's a sort of an evolution of the conversation. I don't know if that's making sense, but I think that's how I'm sort of grounding what you're saying to what I'm seeing in my life.
Yeah, I think the bigger picture to that is that it's our own sovereign responsibility to not let the external world dictate how we live our lives, right? So yes, politics are important. Yes, governing is important. Yes, society is important, like keeping the street lamps on and roads paved and
paying the bills.
All of that stuff. Of course it's important. And we are so used to looking outside of ourselves we're trained to look outside of ourselves to help us inform what our next move is. And like the larger invitation that's happening globally right now with the pandemic, but also in the United States, and how that even affects people like me in Canada and around the world, is like this is actually a calling for you to not allow the external circumstances that are happening around you to dictate how you show up in your life, what you want to go after, who you want to be, the kind of relationships that you want to build, the actions that you want to take.
Yep.
Really creating the life that you want to live into, right? It's kind of a cop-out, really, to just be like, oh, I can't start a business right now because it's a pandemic, or I can't find a new job right now because it's the pandemic, or the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket because Donald Trump's a racist, or whatever it is, right?
Of course we need to be
aware of all of those things, and our job is not to let those circumstances dictate how we live our lives and how we show up in the world.
I love it. All right, so shall we call to action? What are you feeling like?
Oh, well, I mean, hopefully, I think Jomar and I both really believe that, when you are listening for insight as opposed to agreement, you can find nuggets in the things that we talk about that will literally change your life if you allow them to. So the homework is just to, what resonated with you today? What hit home, and how can you begin to put that into action in your life? Not just think about it, but actually be it and be a stand for it. And, we were talking before we got on the call, like if there is anybody that's watching this video and you feel called to learn more about what Jomar and I do with our clients, whether it be one-on-one or group settings or offerings that we have, our invitation is to reach out to us, to get curious and to connect with us. We love to hear from you. We love to connect with you. So send us a message, send us a DM, and we're happy to just share a little bit more about what we do and maybe how we could help.
Thanks, Em. I love that. I think especially if you're watching this via replay, take us up on that invitation. Listen, not to search for what you agree with in your worldview, but listen to have insight. Listen to see something new, and when you see something new, take action on it. Maybe it's relating differently with your boss. Maybe it's calling out some truths that you've been ignoring for a little bit and just naming them.
Yeah, can you just distinguish
Can you
it without
acknowledge?
having to do anything with it?
Yep.
What can you distinguish? That's the homework. What can you distinguish in your life that you can allow to just be there and distinguish without having to do anything with it, without having to control it or fix it?
Change it or fix it. Just allow it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen.
And if we can help, reach out.
Do it.
Send a message to us.
Thanks for watching The Well, guys. We'll be back next
everybody.
week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.